everyone. Welcome back to episode 4. I'm Fallon Frisby, and today we're going to get real deep down in the dirt, talking all things behind the chutes with Jorden Halvorsen. So, this is actually for Ely Cattleman. So, I'm wearing an Ely Cattleman shirt right now. I just pulled this one out of the package actually, and I really love this one. I've been wearing them all throughout this past season. So, tell me about the shirt you have on.
Yeah, so this is one of the Cowboy Girl shirts from Ely. I've worn this shirt actually a lot, and I actually have a stain on it, which is really unfortunate, but it's still one of my favorite shirts. I really like all their shirts. I like how they have, the long tail for being able to ride bulls and ranch and stuff, and them not get untucked like I feel like a lot of shirts do.
Yes. So let's just start from the very beginning. So you ride hunter jumpers and you actually just showed your horse Jesse, but how did you actually get into bulls? And I heard there's actually a fun story behind that.
Yeah. Yeah, so I grew up riding hunter jumper horses, and anything in the horse industry is really expensive. And so I didn't have a lot of money to show or have really nice horses and stuff. And so I ended up working for a horse trainer and was kind of riding whatever horses and ponies came in that were kind of naughty and stuff like that, or just needed miles. They were green and just needed experience. And instead of my trainer riding them and having time to ride them, I would ride them. And so we had a really good friendship. And she had this bull rider that was like hanging around helping cleaning stalls, going with us to horse shows. And one day we were just kind of hanging out, and he said, "Do you guys want to ride a bull?" And I was like, "Why would we do that?" And he was like, "Well, you could say you did it one time, mark it off your bucket list." And I was like, "Well, I'm getting bucked off of these naughty horses and ponies, might as well go get bucked off a bull." And so just went one time and tried it, and fell off super, super fast, and was like, "Oh man, I think I can stay on longer than that." So I just started going back every weekend, and it's been 13 years now, and it's crazy.
Yep, I can relate to that because I've shown the IEA and I ride some jumping horses and show the equitation and all that. And I'll say, them ponies, they will get you.
Yeah.
So you also created a six-part docu-series called Not Her First Rodeo. What do you want the world to take from this series, from Hulu and Freeform?
There's a lot of things that come around women wanting to ride bulls, and it's kind of, it's not like really frowned upon, but like people think, I know for me specifically, that I'm like trying to bark up a tree that I don't belong. And like women's bull riding has been around for a long time. They used to have, the PWRA for it, and stuff. And I want the world to see that, like, just because, we're women, we can't do something in an environment that's like designed for us. Like, I'm not saying, I don't want people to be like, "No, I'm this big bad, bull rider," when I'm not getting on stuff that goes to the PBR. But I am a woman that enjoys riding bulls, enjoys the industry, and just wants to see the industry grow as a whole. So like I don't want people to think that like I'm trying to be something I'm not, but also at the end of the day, like I am a girl that likes to ride bulls.
Yes. So with filming and everything behind the scenes with that, I'm sure that was very fun. Is there any memory that you really remember from behind the scenes that just kind of stuck with you?
I mean, it wasn't actually even really like behind the scenes that stuck with me. It just was like I was riding really well, towards the whole beginning of the season. And I rode some good bulls that, had really tested me. And
Mhm.
so like it was a kind of on camera, but like during that, like I was riding good and I was pushing myself.
Mhm.
And so like for me, like that was really awesome because I was riding good, and but then I broke my leg. So like that's but I
Yes, and
mean,
with rodeo, there comes mental blocks, setbacks, and all that. So, how do you deal with that, especially ranching, rodeoing, and riding bulls? How do you deal with setbacks and fear and setting goals and all that?
I've been injured a lot, a lot from just everyday life, a lot from riding bulls, car accidents. Like, I guess, like, for me personally, I just kind of never knew a life outside of being in pain or outside the realm of like what normal feels like. And so like I just kind of always had this mindset like, all right, like this is only going to be for a short amount of time and then we're going to get back to it. Like there was never like a, like, well, this is it. I mean, I if that was the case, I would have stopped after like my 13th bull or something because I broke my arm. So I just kind of never let stuff keep me from doing the things that I wanted to do.
Yep. So as a rodeo competitor, like what is your mindset going into it and what helps you prepare like pregame?
For me, like pregame, like I feel a lot more confident going into a rodeo if I know that I've put the work in the gym, getting on my horse, getting on the barrel. Like for me, like mental, that prepares me physically, but that also really prepares me mentally to feel like, all right, like you did your work, like now just go out there and have fun. Um, I try to just think about staying in the middle because if you stay in the middle, they can't buck you off is kind of like one of the sayings in my head. And that's just kind of where I go mentally is like, that's what helps me is all the preparation leading up to getting on at a rodeo. Not so much like when I get there, it's all about just, all right, let's just go ride and have fun.
Right. So you're also started as an intern for Del Brisby, and now you've been with him for quite some years now. You're also on his Netflix show. What's it been like working beside him and learning all about what all he does and being at his ranch? And I'm sure people on here who are watching have seen y'all on Rodeo Time and seen y'all at some booths. So tell me all about that.
So yeah, I've been out here since 2020. That's when I came, which was during the filming of the Netflix show How to Be a Cowboy. And when I first came out here, my goal was like I'm from North Carolina, and out in North Carolina, there's not a whole lot of like cow calf operations out there. Like everything's mostly done via four-wheeler, squeeze shoots. There's not really like that cowboying aspect out there as much, or from what I found. And so that was like one of the first things that I got to learn out here was like, the basics of cowboy etiquette, what a jig line is, how to gather a pasture. And then, I transitioned to becoming a full-time employee for him under the media side. So I actually film and edit now for him full time, and it's just been really cool because I've learned a lot of different things as far as like ranching goes, but then I've also learned a lot of stuff like as far as media goes. So it's been really fun. Everyone here is awesome and like we all have a good time, but we also do a lot of work.
Yes. So I'm sure there's a lot of fun stories behind that. Working alongside the guys, riding bulls, everything in between. What's one of your favorite memories out there? I'm sure I've seen you ride a bull out of the trailer before.
Yeah. As I say, that's definitely, top three highlights, was riding that bull out of the trailer. Um, I don't know. We have a lot of fun behind the scenes, like that isn't necessarily on camera. So like, I don't know. They're riding the bull out of the trailer, and then I've rode, some of my best rides, at our practice pen and stuff like that. But yeah, riding the bull out of the trailer was definitely a highlight. I'm trying to think. Oh, there was another one. We did a commercial for rock and roll denim for the NFR one year, and I rode a bull in it. And there was like I had to get on him 3 times to
Oh
do
gosh.
the shot. Well, like we had the arena open and stuff like that, and people, I mean, it was just mass chaos in there. And like there was actually at one point where like I fell off right in front of the Can-Am, like as someone was driving it, and they're like, oh, and that was funny. But that's also not too much on camera, that
Yeah.
part. But that's just a funny thing that's happened out here.
I'm sure y'all wish that was on camera, but so you're also part of the Austin Gamblers, and you're one of the first female coaches on the PBR draft team. So tell me how that came about.
So I'm not really a coach. I'm just kind of like I do like a weekly recap of the gamblers every week and how they do and stuff. And then they put on an event every year called the Next Gambler.
Mhm.
And I was a coach of that, which it's just an open bull riding. And the winner of that, like I think it's like is eligible to become a gambler if they've like submitted, for it.
Mhm.
And so that's just been really cool. You know, the PBR has been doing some really neat things, especially with like this team concept. And so like I've just been, doing these weekly breakdowns, following alongside like these riders and how they're doing and like what works strategically for them. So I think that's like super neat. I did what I did do though was I was the first, I think, and only girl to attend one of the PBR combines as a rider. So in 2022, I went to the PBR team's combine and rode a bull out there and did all the stuff. And I was terrified and I didn't want to be there, but I did it. And I was like one of very few that covered their bull that day. So that was pretty neat.
That's very cool. So, as PBR teams, those are kind of a newer aspect to rodeo, as it's been how PRCA is for so long, where cowboy matched up against bull, but the teams are bringing a different aspect to bull riding. How do you think that's shaping the world today for PBR?
I think it's making more money for the riders to support their families as far as riding bulls without having to go as hard as you would if you were going to PRCA rodeo. Like I feel like rodeo cowboys, they're going a lot more than like the PBRs. Like, you're going to fly in on a Thursday and you're going to be home by Monday morning a lot of times. And I think it's making guys super sustainable living for their future and, for their families without having to just be gone all day, every day, chasing the rodeo trail. So I think that's like super cool for riders in the sport. And I think it's bringing fans in because a lot of things that people are more interested in are like team based, football, baseball, soccer, like all those kind of events are teams. And so bull riding is different, as in like you still got to ride your bull,
Yeah.
but now you're kind of riding your bull for the guys on your team. So, but I think it gives fans something to be excited about, something that they can actually keep along with. Instead of just finding one rider, like now they can find a team and they can, fall in love with, 5 to 10 riders versus just that one. And it kind of opens up the doors for the PBR as a whole.
Yes, that's very cool. So, jumping on over to what you've done recently with your horse, Jessie, I saw you actually went to a jumping show. So, tell me about all that. There's a big transformation she had before that.
Yeah, so recently, earlier this year, well, let me back up. I've had Jessie since she was 2 years old. I bought her for $100 back in 2016. And so for the last 5 years, she's just been sitting out in a pasture at my dad's farm in North Carolina. And she had kind of dropped off on some weight. I had seen some pictures of her in March, didn't look very good. Not that she looked bad. She just didn't look like what I know she can look like. And
Yes.
so we brought her out to Texas
Mhm.
back in April. We put her on total feeds. She's gained, so much weight, so much muscle. She looks honestly like a different horse than she did that day in April that she showed up. And so I tried to barrel race her because I was barrel racing another horse,
Yes.
and he ended up leaving. And so I was like, oh, well, I'll just barrel race Jessie now that she's out here. Well, my horse, no, that's not a thing for her. 1A, clumsy, 2, not fast. Two things you really need if you want to be a barrel racer.
Yeah.
But I had shown her a little bit as a 4 year old in some like flat classes at some open shows and had done like some hunter hack. And she loves to jump. She's always loved to jump. And so, with her being out in Texas and stuff, I was like, well, maybe I'll try to find some hunter jumper shows and kind of dip my toes back in that because I broke my leg, had to have 2 surgeries on it, and I'm just trying to give myself at least the rest of the year off before I decide what I'm going to do as far as bull riding goes, just because I'm not going to make the finals in anything. It's late. And so, yeah, so then I took Jessie to a hunter jumper show. And honestly, I got there and I was jumping around. I was like, I don't actually think I've ever jumped this horse 8 jumps in a row, like in a full course. And she did so well. I was so happy with her.
Yep. You sound like me. I have a barrel horse that I actually jumped her for a while. We did some rated shows. She was definitely not a hunter. She does not move that pretty, but she was great in
Oh,
equitation.
Yeah,
But
Jessie doesn't move that pretty either, but she jumps. She has a really cute jump, but her movement not so much.
so you're also sponsored by Ely Cattleman, and you've done some great things for them. And you're also in one of their shoots last year. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so last year we did the first Cowboy Girl shoot, which honestly was such a fun time. Like it was so much fun. Like I remembered, we have to get up really early for those kind of shoots, because you want to hit that perfect morning light. And I remembered I was like the first one done getting ready, and we were gonna do a little bit of like have some cows in a pen. Well, they had to go gather the cows, and I remember I was the first one dressed, and I ended up having to gather this trap, and like they dropped me off in like this pitch black. It was pitch black out, and I was in this trap that I've never seen. I didn't know where I was, and the brush was so thick, but like I had so much fun just trying to like maneuver through that country, and I was so afraid I was going to get like lost or something, but it was so much fun. And then towards the end of the day we moved to like a more arena setting for the shoot, and we had rants and barrels, and one of the other girls roped because I don't know how to rope, but she was roping and stuff. And one of the photographers, I think, was like, "Oh, you ride bulls?" And I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "I could probably get on one of these steers if you wanted me to." And he was like, "Well, how? There's not a shoot here." And so what we did was there's another guy on this big horse, and we put a rope on the steer in the roping box, and then he let him out, and someone tailed him, and someone got on his head, and then I just jumped on. We put a rope around him, and I jumped on him, and we just let him go, and that was so much fun. Like I don't know, Jenna's great, all them guys are awesome. So like it was a long day, but it was a fun day. Just being able to be cowboy girls for the day and then capture it.
I don't think you can get more Western than getting on a steer in a roping box.
I mean, I wasn't in the rope box. They let him out, and
And
then
then
like,
they got him.
yeah, it
Yeah.
was crazy.
So I heard you got on a steer last night. Is that correct?
No, not
You just
last
told
night.
me. Okay.
A couple weeks ago.
Okay. So ending on a strong note, to giving some advice to a younger girl who may be wanting to ride bulls or get into the rodeo world, what advice would you give to them?
If it's a girl that wants to get into rough stock, I would definitely say like go to a school, test it out that way, because they're gonna put you on the appropriate level stock, and they're not gonna they're gonna usually have gear for you to borrow, and like this stuff is expensive, and you should probably find out if you really want to do it before you spend buco's money on gear. But I would tell them like don't be afraid to go out there and try it no matter what anyone says. And also like you're just going to have to work really hard at it. Don't be afraid of hard work. Don't be afraid to fail. We all fail, and you just got to get after it.
That's awesome. So what's some upcoming plans for the ending up this year coming up?
So I'm going to go to some more hunter shows. I'm actually going to go to one on Sunday now, which is crazy because I only went to my first week ago, but I'm going to go to some more hunter shows. And then it begins to be the busy season for us at rodeo time.
Yep.
With the NFR coming up, we're going to go to National FFA convention and have a booth there. So it just becomes, pretty busy at work per se. So I just plan on working out, getting healthy, and just kind of showing my horse for the rest of the year, and then see what 2026 brings.
Oh my
At least
goodness.
a year.
That sounds very fun. So good luck Sunday. So where can people find you on social media, Instagram, TikTok, all those things?
Yeah, so my Instagram and my TikTok are the same handle. So it's at Jorden, Jorden 395. And then if you just look me up on Facebook, you can usually find me pretty easy.
Thank you so much for talking to me. You've been such a blessing and inspiring to me. I love keeping up with you on YouTube, Rodeo Time, everything in between on Instagram. And if y'all like to keep up with me, I'm Fallon.Frisby on Instagram. And you can go look me up on YouTube and you can go see our previous episodes. We have Missy Jean Etheridge was our last one, which was episode 3. And episode 1 was with Jenna Paulette, who actually helped create the Cowboy Girl collection shirts for Ely Cattleman. So go check those out and I hope you'll have a great day.